It was past midnight. Ethan sat alone in his small wooden cabin, deep in the forest, far away from city noise and people. The wind howled outside, and rain tapped on the windows. He liked it quiet, no neighbors, no trouble, but then he heard something, a creak, a soft thump. His hand reached for the shotgun by the door. It wasn't loud enough for an animal. No deer, no bear. Someone or something was outside. He stood slowly, every muscle tight, his eyes scanning the dark window. The sound came again. This time, closer. A whisper. A footstep on wet leaves. Someone was outside his door. He moved quickly and opened the door wide, gun ready only to stop cold. There, standing in the rain, was a girl, or something like a girl. She was thin. Very thin, soaking wet. Mud covered her legs and arms. Her silver hair was matted and tangled. Her skin had a faint purple tint, glowing softly under the moonlight. Her eyes were large, glowing green, more animal than human. She looked young, maybe 20 in human years, but she wasn't human, and she was shivering. Her lips trembled as she spoke in a weak, broken voice. "Please, please let me wash. I'm so dirty," she said. Then she dropped to her knees in the mud. Her hands came together, as if praying. She didn't look dangerous. She looked desperate. Ethan didn't move. His mind was racing. Alien? Lost experiment? What if it was a trap? But she didn't attack. She didn't scream. She just knelt there, shaking from cold and fear. "I don't want to die," she whispered. "Not dirty like this." Her voice broke something inside him. He lowered the shotgun. "Get in," he said. She looked up, confused, then stood slowly and walked inside. Her bare feet left small, wet prints on the wooden floor. Ethan shut the door and locked it. He looked at her. She smelled like smoke and metal. Her clothes were thin, torn, almost burned in places. Not normal clothes, more like a silver suit, tight like armor, but soft and broken. "Bathrooms that way," he said, pointing to the hallway. She nodded and walked silently, as if unsure if this was real. Before disappearing, she looked back at him. "Thank you," she whispered. Then she closed the bathroom door. Ethan stood still. What the hell just happened? He checked the windows. Nothing out there, no ship, no soldiers, no machines. Just rain and forest. From the bathroom, he heard the water turn on. The pipes groaned. And then silence. Minutes passed. 15 minutes. 20. Too quiet. He moved down the hallway and knocked. "You okay in there?" No answer. He hesitated, then slowly pushed the door open. The girl sat on the floor of the shower, water still falling on her. Her knees hugged to her chest, and she was crying softly, not screaming. Just soft, strange tears. Her back was to him. He saw her skin clearly now. It wasn't just dirty. There were bruises, scratches, burn marks. Her body had been hurt badly. And on the back of her neck, under wet hair, he saw something, a small black barcode. Someone had marked her, like a product, like property. She turned her head slightly, eyes barely open. "Sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to break your shower." Ethan stepped back. "It's fine," he said. "Take your time." He closed the door and leaned against the wall, heart pounding. This wasn't just a girl running from home. Someone made her, hurt her, used her. And now she was here in his home. What did they do to her? More importantly, would they come looking? Ethan couldn't sleep. The girl was still in the shower. The water had been running for over 40 minutes. His water bill was the last thing on his mind. What kept him awake was the image of her sitting under the water, silent and shaking, like someone trying to wash off more than just mud. He finally knocked again. No answer. He opened the door just a little. Steam poured out. The girl was wrapped in a towel now, curled up in the corner of the bathroom floor. Her head was down, her silver hair dripping onto the tiles. She looked up. "Don't send me back," she whispered. Ethan shook his head slowly. I don't even know who they are, she smiled weakly. Good. Then she passed out. He carried her to the couch. She was light. Too light. Bones. Bruises. Her arms had strange red patterns like they were burned by metal. Some were fresh. Some were healing. Her skin, now clean, showed the truth. This wasn't just dirt. It was pain. She didn't wake up for another 5 hours. The sun was up when her eyes opened again. She sat up fast, breathing hard. Then she remembered where she was. She looked around, confused, then saw Ethan sitting in the chair across the room, watching her carefully. Where am I? She asked. My cabin, he said. Middle of nowhere. Safe for now. She looked at her arms, the bruises, the burns. I fell, she lied. Ethan didn't blink. No, you didn't. She looked down. It doesn't matter. He stood and brought her a blanket and a glass of water. She took both with shaking hands. What's your name? He asked. She was quiet for a long time. They didn't give me one, she finally said. Just a number. He waited. B3719. That's what the scanner says. That's not a name. No, she whispered. But I was never allowed to be a person. They sat in silence for a while. Then she asked something strange. Do you know what soap is? He blinked. You used half a bottle of it last night. She smiled slightly. I've never touched it before. Never smelled anything that soft. The scent, it made me feel clean. Not just outside, in here. She pointed to her chest. Ethan leaned forward. Who did this to you? Her smile vanished. You really want to know? Yes. She looked out the window at the forest. There's a mining colony on a dead planet. They needed cleaners, ones that don't complain. So they made us clones, slaves, whatever. We don't age. We don't bleed easy. We just clean. He frowned. Who's they? Corporations, military, aliens, humans, everyone pays. No one cares. And you escaped? Barely. I killed one of them. The guard, he was drunk. I took his access card and ran. Ethan didn't speak. His hands clenched the arms of his chair. She noticed. I'm not here to hurt you, she said. I just wanted to feel human. Just once. He stood and walked to the window, trying to calm his thoughts. That's when he saw it. A red blinking light in the distance. Floating, hovering, a drone. He turned fast. They found you. Her eyes went wide. No, please don't let them. Take me. Ethan grabbed his rifle and moved fast to the back door. Stay down. Don't move. He stepped outside and raised his weapon. The drone buzzed softly above the tree line. One shot. Boom. The drone exploded. Sparks flying through the air. He came back inside, breath heavy. They'll know now, she said, shaking. Let them come, Ethan replied. But they're not taking you. Night returned to the cabin. The storm had passed, but the air still smelled like wet trees and burnt metal from the drone Ethan shot earlier. The forest was too quiet now. No birds, no bugs. Just silence. Inside, the alien girl lay curled up on the couch, wrapped in a thick blanket. Her skin looked cleaner, but her soul didn't. She was fast asleep and crying, not loudly. Just soft, broken sounds. Her face was wet with tears, her hands gripping the edge of the blanket like a child afraid of monsters. Ethan stood in the doorway, watching. He didn't know what to do. Should he wake her? Should he leave her alone? Instead, he just sat down in the chair and listened. It broke him a little, because no one cries like that unless they've seen something too awful to say. She didn't speak much the next morning. She just sat by the window, holding the mug of tea he made her, even though she didn't drink it. Her eyes watched the forest like it would come alive and swallow them. You talked in your sleep, Ethan said finally. She flinched. I didn't mean to hear, he added quickly. You kept saying someone's name, Neela. The girl blinked. Neela wasn't a person. She was a code. For what? A cleaning bot. She laughed once, bitter and dry. They used to beat us if we didn't answer fast. So we'd name the bots, pretend they were friends. Nayla was mine. A little rolling thing with 2 broken arms. She beeped like a bird. Ethan stayed quiet. She got crushed under a landing ramp. They didn't even notice. I screamed. They laughed. She looked at him, face hard now. You asked what I ran from? I ran from a place where machines were treated better than us. Later that day, she stepped outside for the first time. She walked barefoot through the grass, slowly, like each step was new. The sunlight touched her face. She blinked at it, then turned her eyes toward the sky. No ceilings, she whispered. Then her legs gave out. Ethan rushed to help, but she waved him off. I'm okay, just dizzy. He helped her sit on a log under the trees. A soft breeze moved through the leaves. For a moment, it felt almost peaceful. Then she said something strange. I don't think I'm supposed to cry. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? She pointed at her head. They designed us to be silent, emotionless, efficient. Tears were considered waste. But lately, it's like I'm glitching. Feeling things I never felt before. Maybe that's a good thing. She turned to him. Is it? She asked. Because when I cry, it hurts. A lot. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah, that's what being human feels like sometimes. That night, she sat by the fire with him. No words. Just quiet. She watched the flames flicker, her hands open near the warmth. Then she whispered, Do you think I'll survive this? Ethan looked at her closely. You already did. She shook her head. Surviving isn't the same as living. He didn't argue. He knew she was right, but deep down, he felt something strange too. The more she cried, the more human she became, and that scared him more than any drone ever could. The morning began like peace. Birds returned to the trees. The wind was calm. Sunlight broke through the clouds, casting golden light across the forest floor. Ethan cooked eggs in the kitchen. The girl, no longer shaking, no longer hiding, sat at the table, quietly watching the flame on the stove. She looked calmer, but her eyes never fully relaxed. There was always a shadow in them, like she was waiting for something. Or someone. Ethan handed her a plate. You ever had real food before? He asked. She stared at it. Not like this. Just gray bars. No taste. Just fuel. Try it, he said. She did, and her eyes widened. It's warm, she said softly. It's soft. Then she smiled. For the first time since he met her. That smile didn't last. Later that afternoon, Ethan stepped outside to chop firewood. The girl sat near the front steps, her bare feet in the grass, her face tilted toward the sun. But then her head snapped up. A sound. A buzz. She stood quickly. Ethan, she said, voice tight. He turned, confused, then heard it too. A soft hum. In the sky. Mechanical. Steady. She didn't wait. She ran into the cabin. It's them. He followed, heart already racing. What is it? She pointed out the window. Scout drone. They're scanning sectors. It means they're close. Ethan moved fast. He grabbed the old EMP rifle from under the stairs and opened a trunk where he kept some old military gear from his past. He never thought he'd need any of it again. She looked at the weapon. You fought in a war? A long one, he said. Not proud of it. But I remember how to aim. The drone came into view, hovering low, smooth, silent now. Not military, corporate, sleek, black, with a single red eye blinking on its front. It stopped directly above the cabin. She froze. Ethan didn't. He stepped out onto the porch and aimed. One shot. The emperst crackled through the air. The drone dropped like a rock, sparks flying, engine whining before it slammed into the ground and hissed with smoke. He turned to the girl. It's down. But her face said it wasn't over. They don't travel alone, she said. They're never alone. That night, Ethan checked every camera around the property. Nothing moved. But the forest felt different now, heavy. Watching, the girl sat by the window, her arms wrapped around her knees. "They'll come for me soon," she said. "Let them." Ethan answered. She looked at him sharply. "You don't understand. I'm not just a runaway. I'm stolen property. You're not property. They think I am. And I think they're wrong." She stared at him. "No one ever said that to me before." He knelt down in front of her. "You're not just some escaped lab rat," he said. "You're someone who smiled for the first time today, who tasted real food, who feels the wind on her skin." She didn't reply, but her eyes filled with something he hadn't seen before. Hope. Later, after she fell asleep again, Ethan sat on the porch with his rifle across his lap, staring into the woods. Then, just before midnight, a signal beeped on his old scanner. He checked the screen. 3 blips, moving fast, coming straight toward them. The scanner kept blinking. 3 life forms, getting closer. Ethan paced the cabin while she stood near the window, eyes wide but calm, too calm. "You're not scared?" he asked. "I was built not to be," she replied softly. "Fear slows productivity." He frowned. "What about pain?" "They adjusted our nerves. Turned it off. Crying was considered a defect." Ethan stared at her. "Then how do you explain last night?" She looked at him, blinking slowly. "I don't know." He stepped closer. "You felt something. That's not a defect. That's human." She turned away. "You keep saying that word, human. I don't think you know what it means anymore." The 3 signals disappeared after midnight. No sound. No sight. Just gone. They didn't sleep. By morning, the forest looked normal. Too normal. The silence was back. Not peaceful, just heavy. Like the trees were hiding something. Ethan armed the cabin. Reinforced doors. Covered windows. Old war habits came back to him. Traps, signals, emergency plans. She watched him the whole time. Finally, she asked, "Why are you doing all this for me?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because you matter." Her lips trembled, but she quickly looked away, pretending something got in her eye. But nothing did. That afternoon, the power cut out. All at once. No hum from the generator. No lights, no signal. She stood still. That's not a malfunction. Ethan agreed. Something was close. He gave her a small handheld EMP pulse device. "Use this if they touch you." She nodded, then surprised him by stepping closer and gently placing her forehead against his chest. "Don't die," she whispered. He placed a hand on her head. "Same to you." The attackers came just after sunset. Not soldiers. Fully human. MERCS. Cybernetically enhanced, quiet, cold, paid to bring her back. Or kill her if she resists. They moved like ghosts through the trees. Ethan caught the first, one with a trap wire through the knee. Screams cut through the dark. The second he shot in the shoulder. The third ducked behind a tree and opened fire. Bullets slammed into the cabin walls. Inside, she crouched low under the table, holding the EMP tight. Her breath was shallow, her pulse fast. Then, the front door shattered. One of them entered. Big, masked, red laser scanning the room. He saw her. "Target located," he said coldly. She didn't move, didn't scream. "Just raise the EMP," he laughed. "That won't." She activated it. The pulse burst through the room, shorting the lights and frying his helmet. He dropped instantly, sparks flying from his implants. She crawled out, shaking. Outside, she heard Ethan yell, then a gunshot. Then silence. She ran out barefoot into the dirt, the night cold on her skin. Ethan lay there wounded but breathing. Of the attackers was dead beside him. She dropped to her knees and touched his face. "You're alive?" he groaned. "Mostly." And then it happened. She cried, not small tears, not quiet ones. She sobbed, loud, ugly, free. Tears rolled down her cheeks, soaking his shirt. I thought I lost you, she said. I didn't even know what that felt like, but now I do. Ethan smiled weakly. Welcome to the human condition. Later, after patching him up, she sat on the porch with her knees to her chest. He came out slowly, wrapped in a blanket. You okay? He asked. She looked up at the stars. I don't know what I am anymore, she said. But I know what I'm not. What's that? I'm not property. She turned her head, and I'm not broken just because I cry. The forest didn't sleep that night. Neither did Ethan. He sat at the kitchen table, blood still drying. On his arm, the pain dull but constant. The girl sat nearby, silent, eyes watching the window. The fire had burned low. Only embers remained, glowing softly like fading stars. They're not done, she said. Ethan nodded. I know. At midnight, all sounds stopped. No crickets. No wind, no night birds, just stillness. Then the lights blinked twice and died completely. No power, no warmth, no protection. A single red dot appeared outside the window. Then two more dots, then dozens. They're here. She stood slowly, not afraid, this time. Something in her had changed. Her back straightened. Her eyes sharpened. She didn't tremble. Ethan loaded the last magazine into his rifle. If we don't make it, he began. She cut him off. No, we will. The door blew open. Figures in black flooded the room faster, smarter, more brutal than the first wave. No words, just motion. Just violence. Ethan fired. Two dropped. One reached for the girl. She didn't run. She grabbed the attacker's wrist and screamed. A pulse of energy exploded from her body. The man flew across the room and hit the wall like a ragdoll. She stared at her hands. What was that? Ethan gasped. I don't know, she whispered. It's never happened before. Another attacker rushed in. She turned her eyes toward him, and he dropped to his knees, gasping for air, clutching his chest like something inside was being crushed. Ethan stepped back. She wasn't just fighting back. She was changing. More came through the windows. Ethan ducked, rolled, fired. The girl walked forward slowly. Calm, focused. The air around her shimmered. Her skin glowed faintly, pulsing. Like a heartbeat. One attacker raised his weapon. She raised her hand. The weapon bent, not broke, bent. Crushed by invisible force. Then the roof shook. A ship. Landing. Bigger. Heavier. They're bringing in extraction, she said. High-value retrieval team. Ethan pulled her back. We can't hold them off. She didn't move. They'll never stop, she said. Unless what? She looked at him, voice quiet now. Unless I stop hiding what I am. Outside, the ship door opened. 6 figures stepped out. Armor, shields, pulse weapons. No emotion. She walked out the front door before Ethan could stop her. Barefoot. Alone. The 6 raised their weapons. And then she screamed. Not in fear. In rage. The earth shook. The trees bent. A wave of raw power exploded out from her body, hurling the attackers through the air like leaves in a storm. The ship sparked. Metal cracked. Lights shattered. When it was over, the night was quiet again. She fell to her knees, panting. Ethan ran to her. You're okay, he said, holding her shoulders. I didn't know I could do that, she whispered. I was made to be small, silent, obedient. But I'm more, he nodded. Yeah, you are. They burned the bodies. They buried the drone pieces. By dawn, there was no trace of the fight. Only the cabin. Only the 2 of them, and something new between them. She looked at her reflection in the window. Tears. Power. Choice. I'm not what they made, she said. I'm what I decide to be. The smoke from the wrecked ship rose quietly into the morning sky. Ash floated like black snow over the forest. The air smelled of metal, burnt circuits, and broken rules. Ethan stood at the edge of the woods. Looking out, behind him she packed a small bag. Not much, just the old blanket, a spare shirt, and a map he'd drawn for her. "I don't want to go," she said, voice soft. He turned. "Then don't." She paused. "I have to. The others need to know what we are, what we can be. There are more like me, still trapped, still thinking they're nothing." He nodded. "Then you'll go, and you'll come back." An hour later, a resistance scout ship touched down. It wasn't sleek. It wasn't shiny. But it was freedom. A young human woman stepped out, scar on her face, laser rifle on her back. She gave Ethan a short nod, then turned to the girl. "You sure about this?" the woman asked. The girl looked at Ethan. His eyes held no pressure, just quiet trust. She turned back to the ship. Then shook her head. "No," she said. "I'm not ready to leave." The scout frowned. "Why?" The girl stepped closer to Ethan and took his hand. "Because for the first time, I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I'm not their design. I'm my decision." "You're choosing to stay here, on Earth?" "No," she said, glancing up at Ethan. "I'm choosing to stay human." The scout didn't argue. She gave a quiet nod, turned, and left. The ship lifted into the sky and vanished between the clouds. The forest was quiet. Again, they rebuilt the cabin together. She painted the walls. He fixed the roof. He taught her to fish. She taught him how to listen without needing words. She learned to laugh more. And when she cried, she didn't hide it anymore. Ethan once asked her, "Do you ever wish you'd gone with them?" She shook her head. "I used to think survival was enough. But now, I want more than that. I want to feel everything. Even the hard things. That's what it means to be alive, right?" He smiled. "That's what it means to be human." On a quiet evening, months later, she sat on the porch watching the stars. One hand held a warm cup of tea. The other held his. She looked up at the sky, where the ships used to fly, then down at her reflection in the tea. Her skin was still strange. Her eyes still glowed faintly. Her body still carried old scars. But now those things didn't define her. Her choices did. She smiled.